Good morning, everybody. Hello, and welcome to our wonderful, wonderful webinar today. We're so delighted that you could be here and join us and talk about some of the amazing things how AI can help you get smarter digital assets. We're with Carrie. We're with the team leader for this, and also Jinya for Meta for the senior international trade advisor. And I'm with my colleagues. So we're really keen to get started. Just while the last of you are logging on and getting settled, let's introduce ourselves more formally. So I'm joined by my associate, Ava. Ava is in charge of strategic partnerships at IBT Online. Ava Metzi, and her email is am.at.ibt.onl. And myself, my name is Susanna Hardy. I'm Chief Content Officer at IBT Online, and we're delighted to be here with you today. We're so thrilled to be together with Carrie and Jinya from the U.S. Commercial Service, and as I said, Carrie is the global team leader for the health sector, the healthcare sector. I'm going to let them speak for a moment as well to better introduce themselves and the services they're offering, and then the help they can provide to U.S. companies. And they're a tremendous asset, a real helping hand that we hope that you all take advantage of and appreciate. We certainly do. So our introduction, just as people, let's just a quick word on us as a company. So IBT Online, Ava, are you? Why don't you introduce IBT Online?
100%. IBT Online, some of you may know us already. We're a strategic partner of the U.S. Commercial Service, and super delighted to be here today and present with the U.S. Commercial Service in partnership as we help exporters and U.S. businesses. We've basically developed something what we call the Online Global Programs, which encompass, or it's an umbrella term for all of our services, and these are basically full stack digital marketing services, which includes website building, e-commerce, online digital marketing, everything to do with digital strategies to help America's exporters. So it's www.ibtonline, tons of resources we do, and a lot of presentations with the U.S. Commercial Service. And again, really delighted to be here with the U.S. Commercial Service today to present on AI-infused digital strategies.
Thank you, Ava. So as Ava said, we do have the strategic partnership, and we are a full stack digital marketing agency. Getting down now to brass tacks and what we're talking about. I want Carrie to give us a little overview about some of the healthcare technologies industry and how U.S. Commercial Service can be a helping hand to companies. And then we're going to talk directly about AI and how AI can affect and help your digital marketing and sales. Marketing and sales is typically abbreviated, by the way, into the word smarketing. So if I say the word smarketing, that's what I mean. I mean marketing and sales together. So we're going to give an overview first about the impact that the AI industry has had on marketing. Then we thought we would divide up that impact into sort of four buckets, what I call the four pillars of AI value. To sort of say, okay, that's how it affects your website. This is how it can affect your digital marketing. This is how it can affect your market research, and finally also your e-commerce side. We're going to spend a bit of time just showing you some use cases, some case studies of how it's been used effectively and the impacts of it, and stressing also the ROI that you can measure for AI, and then finally rounding out with sort of a little bit of a sort of action plan, a generic action plan, some key resources, and there's some time at the end for Q&A. We can't stress how grateful we are that you've all taken the time out of your busy day. We know you guys have busy running your companies. We know how busy y'all are, so we're grateful that you could spend some time. So I would say, take the time. Put away your phone, the other screen, the moment, sit back, get a cup of coffee or tea, and then just spend the time with us talking about this and focusing on it, and take the time to ask the questions you never have time to ask about AI and smarketing. drop them into the chat box, raise your hand, interrupt me mid-flow. All is good. Good. So then let's hear from Carrie a little bit about the U.S. commercial service and what they can bring for the healthcare and health tech sector.
Great. Well, thank you, Susanna, and thank you, Ava, for having Jigna and I on today. It's really exciting. We're very grateful to partner with you today on this webinar, very timely indeed, especially as the Department of Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick recently announced the transformation of a AI Safety Institute to Pro-Innovation, Pro-Science Center for AI Standards and Innovation. So that's a really exciting, timely development. Now it really fits into what we're going to talk about today. And for those of you who might be new to the U.S. Commercial Service, we're a network of trade professionals based in U.S. embassies and consulates in about 80 different markets all over the world. And if you haven't connected with your local trade specialist yet, please let us know. Jigna and I would be happy to make that introduction for you. We've got over 100 U.S. export assistance centers across the United States. And our mission is to empower U.S. businesses as they explore and grow in these global markets. And whether you're new to exporting or you're a seasoned expert, we can help you with trade counseling, market research, business matchmaking, and commercial diplomacy and advocacy as well. And so we're here to connect you with qualified, pre-screened partners and give you the support that you need to grow internationally. And with that, I'll turn it over to my colleague, Jigna Mehta. She's a senior international trade specialist with the U.S. Export Assistance Center in Dallas, Texas. Thank you, Jigna.
Thank you, Carrie, and thank you, IBT, for setting this up. Hello, everyone. Greetings from warm Dallas. Thank you for joining us today. I'm here to make a quick plug-in for the investment promotion work that we do to increase foreign direct investment. In addition to the export promotion work that Carrie just talked about, we also encourage foreign companies to make job-creating greenfield investments in the United States. And healthcare has been one of the leading sectors for the incoming FDI. And we are seeing significant alignment with the US administration priorities to attract investment in critical technologies like AI that drives innovation and creates high-value jobs. Business expansion in a foreign country can be a complex journey for any businesses. And we work with foreign companies through a program called Select USA to help them navigate through that journey. The Select USA program offers customized research to shortlist the ideal locations, provide interagency support, facilitate connections with the Economic Development Organization across the United States, and many more helpful resources. If you know of any foreign companies, and that could be your vendors or service providers in a foreign country that are contemplating to open an office or a manufacturing facility here in the US, please feel free to refer them to our offices and we'll be happy to help them. With that, I will now pass it back to Eva. Thank you.
Carrie, Jigna, thank you very much indeed. I can't stress how much this is, the U.S. Commercial Service is a helping hand. We've seen so many of our clients, so many of the companies we speak to who have had initial market research or all those things from U.S. Commercial Service. I wanted to ask, actually, let's launch a poll. Let's ask everybody out there, have you already used U.S. Commercial Service offerings? Have you plugged into your local trade specialist? Have you gone on to trade missions or trade shows with them? So click on get your mouse and click on what it is and things and oh, thank you very much for being so active and proactive on the polls. We appreciate a lively audience. That's great. It's interesting. A lot of you have had some exposure to U.S. commercial service. I think there's quite a few who are looking to increase that as well, which is terrific. So fantastic. With that, I'm going to close the poll, and let's move to the discussion more generally about AI. So we wanted to take a step back and figure out where we are on the AI's sort of continuum, and figure that out. In many ways, what we see is that AI is really an extension, a natural and logical progression of the internet. The internet is now so pervasive across our planet, and these numbers, I think, speak for themselves. They're even up since this is October 2024. Nearly 70% of the world's population spends nearly 7 hours a day on the internet. So 5.5 billion people spend nearly 7 hours a day on the internet. That is worth that repeat. And they're almost all on social media. So, the internet is very much built on algorithms, and the way it's structured is using AI. So there's these big trends that we're seeing now, and have been seeing in the last few years on the internet, which is data privacy, social commerce, e-commerce, growing trends towards personalization. All of that is sort of moving towards AI as well. All of those trends push and encourage the use of AI. So I've put AI as the biggest trend there, but all of those trends are interwoven. And you'll see when we talk about how the digital landscape is changing now, you'll see how much those things are interconnected for that. So, we've obviously had AI in various forms for quite a long time. I mean, this machine learning, that was back in the 1940s. Alan Turing, 50, so there's quite a lot of, there's a lot of background here for this. We've got 80 years of some form of machine learning. And the sci-fi even predates that. So it's sort of gone into these four big steps. The machine learning, then robotics is continuing, then artificial neural networks with deep learning, and now generative AI. Now, each time was a paradigm shift. I personally would argue that generative AI is the biggest paradigm shift and the biggest challenge that we have of this. As I mentioned, the internet sort of really structured via AI already. I mean, think of the algorithms. Think of when you're going on Google or Amazon and you buy a pen, and then it says, oh, if you bought this pen, you might want this pencil, or even slightly further apart, if you bought that pen, maybe you're looking for a new office. Sometimes, and then you get that on your Amazon, and suddenly your Instagram is telling you that you should get new pens too. And how is that possible? So, a lot of that is already built into the internet. And if you're in digital marketing, all of those tools that you already use, whether it's Google Analytics or SEMrush or the pay-per-click advertising that you're doing, any kind of influencer marketing, all those are basically driven through by AI. They all have software that depend on AI. Now, the stage difference is LLMs, large language models. This generative AI is different. It is, however, increasingly, at phenomenal speed, being rolled out into the digital marketing world and the online and the digital world overall. It has allowed and is allowing us to do things that we've always been a little bit frustrated with as digital marketeers. And one of the things that interests me most is predictive analysis and predictive analytics. That's a very exciting phenomenon that's now being rolled out with a lot of different software tools. Equally, the content generation, that gets a lot more headline space, but we'll dig down into some of those big terms there. I said that generative AI is a step change, but I would also say that the internet was ready for it. the ground had already been well seasoned to welcome when ChatGPT was launched by OpenAI. And as we know, we hear this all the time, within 5 days, Chat had surpassed 1 million users. Some of the stats here are on the right-hand side of your screen. It's interesting. I mean, one of the things that interests me also is 15% of Chat's users are in the United States. Only 15%. So this really is a global phenomenon as well. And obviously we talk a lot about ChatGPT, but there's so many others, Gemini, Claude, Jasper, and the large language models are really being integrated and put into so many tools now that it's interesting and sometimes a challenge to keep up with them all. So as I was saying, in our view, the internet welcomed ChatGPT, and that huge uptake in ChatGPT was because it was really ready to see this, and a lot of the tools had already been prepared for it. One of the things that we're seeing is the rapid rise of use of chat as a search engine. So taking market share from the big search engines that we have, like Google and YouTube. I mean, YouTube is a search engine as well. So YouTube, Google, but all of them, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, X, all taking market share to ChatGPT. On the right-hand side of your screen here, you have the top 10 websites from about a year ago. And I mean, Google obviously dominating it with 84 billion visits a month, but Chat at the time, Chat was around number 40 or between 40 and 50 in terms of market share, and really, not even a billion. 1 year later, it has gained market share. Look at the numbers for Google, 84 to 81, YouTube, 32 to 29. It's pulled market share from the big ones, from the Googles, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X, WhatsApp. And it's now in 8th position worldwide. My personal guess is that by the end of 2025, it'll be around number 5 in the world in terms of search engines. And this has a major impact on the way you need to structure your digital assets. And we'll talk about that in some detail. You'll start to see, if you look at your analytics, just your Google Analytics, you'll start to see chat appearing in your analytics. This was taken about a couple of weeks ago, just from a client of ours. 6 months ago, chat was not there in their analytics, and it's now just behind ThomasNet. Again, Google is, way bigger at, in this case, 3,500 compared to 57. It's way bigger, but it was not there 6 months ago. And already I looked at this client yesterday. Chat is above ThomasNet for this. So again, people are using ChatGPT. It is in your analytics, and you'll see that there's a difference in the way that your digital assets have to respond to this, and the way that your website and your marketing, your e-commerce need to look at for this, because it's only growing. I think we can all assume as well, AI is here to stay. It's not, we can all accept that. And what I would say as well is AI is really today's AI is, in a sense, the stupidest AI that there will be. It's only growing in sophistication, in capability, in reach, and in sophistication. So I was with a client the other day, and they said to me, I know AI, I know I've got to integrate it, I know I've got to get on board of this, I know my competitors are doing it already. So, I mean, it's no good sort of scaring myself, but if you're not on board, your competitors are. So it is something that has to be integrated now and rapidly. So, there's several questions, just focusing in on this marketing, that's your sales and marketing, and the challenges that has. The biggest challenge is really how to integrate AI and AI tools into your sales funnel, from reach out to consideration to the whole of that sales funnel. How do you integrate, and what kind of tools are best suited for you? So I've written down some questions here that you might want to think about. How what AI tools are best for my company? What suits us best? Do we need more? Should we look at our tech stack? What changes do I need to make to my tech stack? What about my team? Who's good at it? Who's not? How do I get them all trained up and all using it proficiently? Do I have the in-house capabilities? What parts should I keep internally, and what parts should I outsource to digital marketing companies like us? What are my KPIs with all this? So here's some questions that you might want to think about. Before I dive into the next section, I wanted to ask you all as well, sort of where are you on AI? Have you already, are you already fully integrating? Is your company already fully integrating? So let's launch another poll. Is your company already using AI tools? If so, are they pervasively? Are you still at the stage where, well, I'm still thinking about it, still looking about it, it's a little bit challenging? And again, I would thank you very much for responding on that. Appreciated. Just to say that the majority of you are beginning with AI. Very few of you are, and actually a whole bunch of new responses. Most of you are still thinking about it. Some of you are beginning to integrate it. In that case, I'm really glad that you're on today's webinar. Okay, thank you very much, and I'm glad that you're thinking about it. Let's close that poll, and let's talk a little bit more about how I've what I've called the 4 pillars of AI value in the marketing and sales. Excuse me. So the first, I guess, the first basis of any kind of digital asset at this point, I don't know about in 10 years' time, but at this point, is still your website. And the point about a website, the key golden rule about any website, is that you have to take the local buyer persona's point of view. Your website is not, it serves many purposes, but its primary purpose should be for your prospective buyers. That's your primary role for a website. It does other things as well. It helps your employees, it helps your distributors, it helps existing clients. But the people who are really going to look at it and investigate it and be turned on or off by it are prospective buyers. And those prospective buyers, you have to put yourself in their shoes. What do they want to see? Yes, they want to see your client testimonials, but it might not be the first thing they want to see. Maybe they want to see what you can actually do for them. How do you solve their pain points? So think about it from their point of view. And here's a couple of things, these 10 criteria that I've listed for what we call a localized website. Localized means, for example, if you're a Florida company and you want to sell to Idaho, what is the Idaho prospective buyer thinking about? What are they concerned about? And similarly, if you're a Idaho exporter and you're exporting to Japan, what is your Japanese buyer persona looking at? So that's this notion of localized buyer persona, and that's an important basis to have when you're looking at AI, because AI allows you to deepen that localization, and that's going to be key for engaging with prospective buyers. Because AI, today's tools, tools that, for example, that we have, allows you to really optimize localized websites in a much deeper way than you were able to before these generative AIs. So before generative AIs, we all did keyword research, we did competitor research, we did all of that, but now we're able to go many layers deeper into it and have much more differentiation and much more personalization within websites. So that's the way things are moving towards. And these things are really at the grasp of mid-sized companies. These are not things that are out of reach. These are things that should be within your reach to have. And certainly when the companies we work with, we would, because sometimes the tools can be expensive, but the tools that we use for our companies allows them to have much more impactful localized websites, whether that's for user experience or real-time translation tools, country-specific optimizations, and so on. Let me give you a few examples of what I mean about this. AI has affected very much the way people look at search engine optimization. Search engine optimization was always like the sort of the bedrock. Oh yeah, how's your SEO? What is the SEO strategy? SEO requires you to have good keywords, and you have to have the keywords in the main paragraphs and in the H1s and so on. Chat is very different. The LLMs and the latest round of software tools used in marketing react differently. And generative search is different from SEO. One of the things about it is that it requires actually better quality content. So don't think that, chat is just sort of regurgitating, you splashed onto a page, and that would be a terrible thing to do. For one thing, Google downgrades clear chat or any tool written. If it's written by an LLM, you can see it. Same with an image, so on. So if there isn't some kind of editing going on afterwards. So generative AI and AI-powered platforms change the way your websites are ranked, searched for, and graded. Increased importance is brand management, reputation management, strategies, longer tail keywords. That often means things like questions, by the way, and quality content. So that brings us to something called GEO, sometimes called AEO, generative engine optimization. So it's different from search engine optimization. It's made specifically for the ChatGPTs of the world. It makes sure your website is, and all your web assets, your digital assets, are responding well to AI search, like Google, like Claude, like Jasper, Anthropic, and of course ChatGPT. So I've written a couple of bullet points here about what's changed, those main things that have changed. One of the things that generative engines like is very structured data with very strong backlinks and stuff that you're sourcing things correctly. They like that very much. Remember that they don't scroll through pages. They don't scroll through whole websites. They take parts. So AI readable is rather than Google indexed. The way I like to think about it is also, if you think that Google is used for what questions, what time is my train? What is geo? What is generative AI? What is a website? Those what questions. ChatGPT and AI is much more about how. How do I best do this? How do I integrate this hydraulic pump into my medical device? How do I best inform my patients about the risks of this, and so on? So that's how questions are picked up. I wouldn't recommend that everybody quickly sticks on some FAQ pages on their website. More, put it throughout your website. Make sure that your website and your digital assets are thinking about pain points and how you provide solutions to those pain points for your clients. That's what AI is looking for of that. There's, I've put a link as well to, or a reminder on our website, if you go, which is IBT.onl. If you go to the resources section, there's a ton of blogs there, and some of them, they're all free and downloadable. The latest ones are all about AI, and there's some very good ones about generative engine optimization. So if you're interested in learning more about generative engine optimization, check out our blogs, because there's quite a lot there that you can get on that. So the first pillar that I wanted to mention then is about your website and GEO, and how your web assets, because not just your website, but all of your web assets have to be in tune and ready for AI. So AI readable, AI perfect. The second sort of pillar is quite interesting. It's really about market intelligence. And it can be about market intelligence or competitor intelligence. And that's a fantastic thing as well. I mean, U.S. Commercial Service also offers this as sort of, market overviews and market intelligence. It's a really, really good service they have. And you can complement this with AI-driven market intelligence. So you can do a lot of research using AI tools about market discoveries, about new markets, about how competitors are there, what kind of pricing, what are potential end clients, and so on. All of that data is then easily digestible and things such, which is something we like very much. And the part that interests us most, or that we're using most for our clients, is this competitor tracking and the benchmarking tools. That for us has been really important. Ooh, bit of an echo. Okay, sorry about that. So that for us has been really important, that whole competitor tracking and the benchmarking tools, which have allowed us, if you're getting, because the thing about AI is that you're given vast amounts of data in ways that you can digest it, which allows you to take data-driven decisions. So that's the second major pillar. The third really pillar for AI in your digital world is for e-commerce. And I know a lot of you are saying, well, we're a healthcare company or we're a medical device company, but if you think of e-commerce as B2B e-commerce, and it doesn't have to be, with a payment gateway, it can be request a quote. That's an e-commerce basically environment. It's allowing clients to say, I would like one of these devices and two of those and three of those. Can you give me a quote on that? And then your salesman can say, that's a strange mix. They don't actually go together. Can I give you a call? It's an amazing tool to generate sales qualified leads for your salesman. So I would really think about e-commerce for that. And AI allows you to be very competitive. B2B e-commerce is tough because the B2C e-commerce gives us such a high barrier. Who can deliver faster than Amazon? And Amazon is the prices are low, or you can have lots of different prices on it, and they deliver the next day, and it's hard to beat that. But that's what people are used to in their minds, even when they're looking for their company for things. And AI can help you at least become more competitive and more engaging with your end clients. So that whole customer experience, and which is the builds the trust you need for that buyer's journey, comes into it at that point. So improved operational efficiency, yes, but improved personalization as well. And that's one of the things that's really important for building trust with your prospective buyers. So AI allows you to have much more personalized e-commerce solutions, which accelerate the whole process, the whole sales funnel. Now, I'm not talking about those old-fashioned old chatbots that will keep disturbing your keep going on the middle of your screen and disturbing your user experience in this annoying way, but more sophisticated chatbots which answer questions in a very human-like way in multiple different languages, and even that can connect directly into your CRM. So you could have a chatbot into your CRM, directly. This client has visited, or this person has visited our website 4 times in the last 2 weeks and has asked these 3 questions. Here's his email. At that point, should he get an email from someone? That's something you want to think about. So you can have very dynamic email and ad personalizations as well based on engagement. Now, the whole cross-selling has taken just a whole new step up with AI tools as well. So again, some of these things that you have on this slide to think about in terms of this, the way that you can personalize the engagement of someone on your website, which allows you to speed up the sales funnel. I thought it might be useful for you to have some sort of information about how the different parts of AI for e-commerce are generally categorized. So there'll be like computer vision, CVs are really important in AI. It allows you to, a lot of people search through vision, through images rather than through words. So that, CV allows you to look for vision, for imagery. It's also really good for any kind of quality control and after sales. The natural language processing, the NLPs, help interpret human language. So that is for any kind of chatbots, but also customer support and integration and connection with it. Very, very good also for any kind of sentiment analysis that you have with your clients. And then the MLs, the machine learning part, basically takes patterns of use and patterns on your website or on your digital assets that allows you to have recommendation and dynamic pricing. So those are the three big areas for AI in e-commerce that people talk about: ML, NLP, and CVs. The fourth big pillar of AI that we would see in digital assets is about content. And we all have, I'm sure you've all played around with chat by now and sort of said, oh, write me a birthday poem for my husband, and then do it in a Japanese haiku, and then whatever, so those are fun things to do. But it's a kind of fun game, but it's not using LLMs the way they can be used in terms of scalable content, which is highly focused on specific issues for your clients. So creating agents and GPTs, allowing them to have your brand voice, matching them. This is something which is really at the forefront of digital marketing today. And it's really an enormously empowering tool that you can have. I would say, don't underestimate it and don't overestimate it. In other words, don't think it's super easy, because it's not. And don't think it does everything, because it doesn't. But if you're working hard at it and you have the right tools and the right expertise, it's a very empowering tool to create content which is scalable and highly focused on your audience. So it allows you to pinpoint exactly the kind of content you want for the occasion you want. Social media marketing is all about reaching the right people with the right message at the right time. And the AI tools allow you to have an absolute laser focus on that. This becomes really important, for example, for trade shows. And I'll give you an example of that in a moment. So here's some examples as well, some content as well on the right-hand side of your screen about some of the things about generative AI tools today. And remember, when I talk about content, I'm talking about written content, visual content, from videos to imagery, and even code content. So content in its widest form of what we would talk about for digital content. So these four pillars then we mentioned, sort of, the websites and things, market intelligence, the e-commerce side, especially for hyper personalization, but also sort of building extra trust. Again, the content and scalable content creation for that. And then finally, the use of real-time analytics. And analytics allows you really to make, you know, the decisions you need to make at the time. You know, it really allows you to have the data to take data-driven decisions, which are so important. I wanted to add just one slide about sort of policy. That's a whole other discussion, which I thought could take up the entire of this webinar. So I thought I'd just put one slide in there just to as a reminder. Um, uh, the use of AI is really transformative. Um, uh, but from what we see works best is that the direction and policy and strategy comes from the board of the company. It comes from the CEO and the senior management of the company and sets the rules. And I can't understate how important it is to set these rules right from the start. Otherwise, you're going to find that people are going off in all kinds of different directions using the kind of tools they want. You're going to have a lot of security issues. You're going to get people who are far ahead and people who are left behind, people who are using different tech stacks, opening up your company to security and cyber attacks. It's not a good thing. You will misuse some AI and they will be, without human oversight, they will be bad things coming up. There might be plagiarism issues, all kinds of things. So please do think about an AI policy for your company as well. And as I said, it comes from the top down for that. So I've put in the four sort of big core issues that any policy would look at: ethical, transparency, human oversight, continuous monitoring, and so on. And then just a quote that I thought was interesting from the Marketing AI Institute, really stressing the importance of learning and training and continuous learning and training for an AI. AI is such a fast moving, fast paced environment in today's world. You know, it's somehow or other you've got to get a grip of or some kind of understanding about what are the tools you need to have as a company for that. So, I mean, for example, in our company, it is so essential to what we do that we actually have one person dedicated only to making sure that we are up to speed with the AI tools that we need and we're choosing the right ones. That they're under our job, making sure that we're all up to speed on it. We have weekly meetings for the entire company about it. Then we have other weekly meetings for individual groups. It's just, you know, it's taken very seriously. So please do think about a policy for your own company and think about these four big things: ethics, transparency, human oversight, and monitoring. Before we get on to some use cases, and I'm looking at the time, how about another quick poll? We wanted to understand, you know, would you like to learn more about AI tools? If so, we'd be happy to send you some blogs, or we could point you in the right direction of some good assets and so on. Let us know. And again, thank you for being so fast on your mice for answering us on that and things. So just, you know, what would you like? Would you like to have more about it, more A things? And again, lots of enthusiasm. Thank you very much. We will send you, you know, blogs. We'll send you point you in the right direction and things. So lots and lots of you would like to learn more. Great. On to our use cases for some AI. And again, there's lots of details on some of these on our website, also with videos. The first one I wanted to mention is the use of AI tools for websites. This is not a healthcare company, but it's a very recent website build that we've just completed, so I just wanted to include it, where we used some AI tools for user experience. When someone lands on a website, they don't land on the home page and then logically go through each page. They land in the middle of the website and then they go off all over the place. But the way they go, you want them to have a logical journey. You want them to discover the following things. So the articulation of a website becomes very important, and that is called a user experience. And user experience up till now has been something like a little bit of psychology, a little bit of experience, a little bit of the dark arts. It's like, oh, I'm good at user experience. Well, okay, fine. But there are now tools which you can really, really use to map best practice user experience. That's very exciting. These are very out of the box, brand new tools that we could use to help understand how people use. And in the past, you'd use like diagrams and heat charts and things, but these are way better. So I wanted to put that out there as well. It's the ability to analyze data like that in a very sort of sophisticated manner. For that. So that was one example. I wanted to talk. We mentioned earlier about having this buyer persona and how important it was to match your message with the local buyer persona, and that's important obviously for your website, but it's really important also for any kind of social media you do. So this is a company. We work with them in a couple of different markets, including in the GCCs, in the Arab states, Gulf states. And interestingly enough, in the Gulf states, we determined that in fact their buyer personas were probably looking in English, not in Arabic, for health products, healthcare issues, and so we do that in English. But we also do it in Latin America and France, North Africa and France as well, in French as well. So there are different with today's AI tools, we are able to really hone in on the specific pain points of each region in a lighter way. So we don't have. It's not a question of taking one image or one message and then let's translate this into French. It just becomes a translation issue, and then fine. This is much more about being very reactive to each market at each time. So you really are reaching the right people at the right time with what they want to talk about. What concerns you in the market in Colombia might be very different from what concerns you in Saudi Arabia for your prospective buyer. So your message is different, and the imagery is different, and the concern is different. And there are AI tools that now allow you to be that flexible that you can be doing this in a manageable way. I talked about e-commerce, and again, this is a medical device company based in North Carolina, and AI helps. This company has, I don't know how many SKUs. I've taken a screenshot of the list of different types of parts they have, and then within each one they'll have 50 SKUs. So they have a lot of inventory, a lot of SKUs, and in the past, doing that is fine with a good WooCommerce or application and apps, but AI today allows you to have a really very dynamic and more plastic and more functionality with regards the structure of the data. It also allows you to have more personalization. So the person responding and hitting something in the Latin American market, you can then reply to them in Spanish. You can say this is that, and then they're asking about sort of legislation or anything like that, and you can reply in a very, very specific way. The combination of that, allowing your data to be highly structured and having the personalization, really is a big factor in building trust with your end client. And it takes a lot of trust to fill out a contact form, request a quote, or buy something online. So it's very important. I wanted to give you an example also about a very specific case. So let's say you have a trade show coming up. Now, you all go to Medica or Arab Health or whatever. And in the past, I know from our clients, and I know this from ourselves, you went last year, so you look at the booth you did last year. Trade shows are so expensive. Let's take the same booth or just remodel it a little bit. And then, okay, your messaging that you did, okay, let's update it. Let's maybe polish it a bit and then put it out again. But you're not really focused on the trade show of the moment. And you're doing what you can, which is taking the stuff that you had, updating it, polishing it a bit, putting it out there. There are now AI tools, this predictive marketing, this ability to do research, which allows you to say, okay, this Medica 2025, what are the big audience concerns? What are the big talks about? What are the big audience things? What questions are being put in? And you can put all that into AI tools to allow you to focus on those things that are being of most concern to the majority of people at Medica 2025. That'll allow you to really say, okay, in fact, we need to shift by, a little bit, just, shift our stance a bit in order to be in tune with people's concerns of today. So let's, do that a little bit. And that allows you to have a whole refresh and things. And then I've written also sort of automated sales funnel. So just to give you an example, if you have a QR code, we now can link your QR code, anyone downloading your QR code, automatically into a CRM so that you can then, it goes automatically into your CRM and then gets profiled. And you can say, well, that person there is of interest to me. And then I know who I need to reach out to. So these are just, via an API, via a tool, you can link parts of your digital landscape together. You can say my QR code, my CRM, API in the middle, and I've got something that really works for me. So instead of walking out of the trade show with a stack of of business cards, you've actually got a profiled CRM for that. This allows you then to be your landing page and your whole involvement in the trade show to be highly dynamic and shifting and saying, okay, today this is happening and we're at this booth and we're attending this conference and we're here and we're there and we're going to that booth, and allows you to discuss this and put this out there so that people who are looking for that can reach out and connect with you. Analytics are endlessly important, and as I've mentioned, allow you to have that strong data-driven decisions that you need. And the analytics that you can have with AI, the basis is your Google Analytics, Looker Studio, but then also the SEMrush, Sprout Social. There's just so many that you can layer on top to take really strong decisions and decision making. I don't know if we have time for another poll, or if I tell you what, let's go for another quick poll. Should we do for another quick poll? The last little poll there. If any of you would like some information from us, then let us know, and we can reach out to you directly if you want for that. And again, we can point you in the right direction of things. So again, thank you very much for that. Let's move on quickly. I want to leave some time for questions. Ava, maybe you could talk us through some action plan.
Yeah, I hope you guys can hear me okay. I'm still in a co-working space where there's a little bit of noise around me, but the action plan has to be in line with the trends that we're seeing at the moment that are sales trends. Notably, the future of sales is what? The future of sales is a digital first approach, which means that it is hyper automated, AI infused, as Susanna is just saying, that it has to be structured and aligned, which makes it a powerful advantage. A digital first engagement with your customers. And it's no longer a nice to have, it's a must. It's an expectation that your customers come to the table with as they are trying to reach you and learn more about you. The second element is a really omni-channel experience. Omni-channel means that you get to have an experience where the customer can reach you in different ways that they want to reach you. They can contact you via WhatsApp or get to know you via LinkedIn. There's lots of different options that you're giving them so that they can be in touch with you. So that's what we say. That's what we call the omni-channel experience, giving them different options at different time as the customer wants to reach you, when they want to speak to you, how and on which platforms that they feel best on. And finally, being customer centric. Being customer centric means that you put the customer at the very first or very center of your business model. We had just one question in the chat that said, well, if I'm exporting to 10 markets, does that mean that I have to have websites, in each of those markets? And we get it. It's a huge ask, and it's a big mission to undertake.
Big resource.
But it's a huge, yeah, that would be huge. But it's the question that you need to ask yourself is, what market that you're in, are you putting your customer first, and is it the customer that is reflected on your website in that market? So be customer centric as you go into the market. Don't spread yourself too thin. Make sure that the customer in India or France or Germany feels reflected on your digital strategies.
Ava, you've got quite a lot of background noise, so I'm sorry. I might just round up. I know that you were keen to do this roundup part, but I think I might just finish up here, especially as we're running out of time. That's okay. So we wanted to just remind you, your core is sort of, that local buyer persona, and I can talk a bit more about having how many websites does it take? I mean, well, that's a difficult question. If you're Apple, you've got like 150. But a lot of our clients also work on what do we call landing pages and interwoven websites, which we can talk about. We wanted to say sort of, how do I start? What do I do? Step one is assess what you've got. What's your tech stack today? Where's your competence in this? Do you start alone? Do you outsource? If you're outsourcing, what do you outsource? Even if you just start at your very basics, how's your website? How's that performing? Is it AI enabled? Are your digital assets ready for AI in that sense? So step one, assess your digital capabilities. In other words, your tech stack. And that includes also people. Who's keen on it in your company and who can you rely on? Step two is for digital marketing anyway, for your marketing side, identify where AI would fit best in your sales and marketing funnel. And as a clue, it'll fit best where you have the biggest pain points. For example, if you say my sales and marketing funnel, we are continuously dropping the ball on the mid-funnel area where we're not nurturing them. If that's your pain point, that's where you need to focus, and that's where you'll have an AI solution for it. Step three really is launch a very well-defined small AI project. It's got to be well-defined in terms of results and time and ability and resources, and then just kick it around, see what happens. Get everyone involved from the top down and reiterate it for that, and then you'll start the ball rolling. So if you want to start the whole process, those are the 3 steps we would recommend for you. If you want to have further learning, there's lots more there's endless things at the moment. Some of the ones we've enjoyed the most in terms of books they're listed on the left. We would also really, really recommend some of these YouTube channels. Google DeepMind has some really interesting ones that I like very much. And then in terms of web resources, obviously ours is on top. If you go to the resource section, there's lots of stuff on our website for the resources, for blogs, for how to get your website up, how to get your marketing up to speed, what to do with it, what are the best tools, and so on. The other links we've given there, HubSpot AI, free downloadable resources up to a point, then they ask for money. But the first ones are all free and are a fantastic resource. So I would recommend out of those ones, go to HubSpot Marketing and check them out. And then obviously trade.gov has lots of free downloadables as well. We're like out of time. we're finishing exactly on time. If you have another few minutes, I will address the question also about, okay, 10 websites, because I'm doing 10 markets. If resources are unlimited, if you're Apple, yes, you have at least one website per country. But we don't all have the same pockets as the trillion-dollar companies. So I would say what we find with our clients is that they'll batch it into areas and prioritize. Some areas are easier than others. Latin America, you can do as an entire Spanish language area. You do a .lat for the entire Spanish. It doesn't work for Brazil, but the entire Spanish-speaking Latin America. You do a .lat website that'll be referenced by it all. Same thing for the GCCs. You can do one for all of the countries of the Gulf. It's quite useful too. For Africa, English-speaking Africa, similarly. So there are areas where you can group things together. Otherwise, it's about prioritizing, and it's about making sure that you, as Ava said, don't spread yourself too thin. Make sure that you're hitting the priorities and getting the return on investment that you need for those. Well, what some of our clients will do as well is they'll have just a landing page for other markets. So they'll have, like, if there's 10 countries they're exporting to and there's 3 that are a priority, they'll have separate websites for those 3. And for the others, they'll have landing pages, which are just dedicated pages that they can resource to and that they can bounce any social media on, and that they can use as a trampoline, as it were, for any of the digital marketing they're doing, or any of the marketing that their distributors are doing in that market. I hope that was helpful. There's a bunch of other questions, but I am cognizant of time. We will answer those questions by email. I wanted to say a big thank you to Carrie, Digna, and to my colleague Ava for allowing us this occasion to speak with you all about AI. I hope it's been of use. You will be getting a recording in your inbox. Let us know if we can be of any help. We're always happy to jump on a call and brainstorm and talk things through. But we're very grateful to U.S. Commercial Service for all that they do and they provide as a service to U.S. companies and exporters. So Gina, Carrie, thank you very much for your time, for all being there. And audience, thank you. Thank you for taking the time today for this. Thank you, and hope to see you all on the next webinar or in person. In person would always be fun. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.